Alright, let's talk about the Pi network. Imagine if cryptocurrency had a baby with a multi-level marketing scheme, and that baby was raised by your most optimistic uncle, the one who still thinks his beanie babies are a viable retirement plan. It's a cryptocurrency you can mine on your phone without draining your battery or needing a supercomputer that sounds like a jet engine taking off in your basement. The entire premise is to make crypto accessible to everyone, not just the tech bros who speak in acronyms and live on a diet of Soylent and hubris. The idea is simple. You download an app, you tap a button once a day to prove you're a human being and not a particularly sophisticated toaster, and in return, you accumulate Pi coins. It has attracted millions, and I mean millions of people, all tapping away on their phones, dreaming of a future where their daily digital chore turns into a life-changing windfall. Now let's get to the heart of the matter, the big, beautiful, and utterly baffling number, $314,159. This is the global consensus value, or GCV. And if you're wondering where that number comes from, just look at it again, 314159. Yes, it's pi, the mathematical constant. It's the kind of nerdy, self-referential joke that makes you either groan or applaud its sheer audacity. The community believes with fiery conviction that this is the inherent value of one Pi coin. They argue that if millions of people around the world all agree that one Pi is worth $314,000, then, well, it is. It's a bold, revolutionary idea that spits in the face of supply and demand curves. We are the market, they say. It's an attempt to bootstrap a global economy based on pure, unadulterated belief. Welcome to the wonderful, wacky world of decentralized value. This is the core concept not just for Pi's GCV, but for all of cryptocurrency. At its heart, it's a simple yet profound idea. Value is not inherent. Think about the US dollar. It's a piece of paper, or more often, just a number on a screen. Its value comes from the fact that we all agree it has value. It's a system running on 100% pure grade A trust. Decentralized value takes this concept and puts it on steroids. Instead of trust in a government, it places trust in a network, a distributed, global network of computers all running the same software and agreeing on the same set of rules. The Pi network's GCV is the most extreme example of this theory in practice. It's an attempt to skip the messy part of price discovery on an open market and jump straight to the consensus. Now comes the hard part, reality. And reality, as it so often does, involves lawyers. You can't just declare a digital token is worth $314,000 and expect the world's legal and financial systems to just nod along. Governments and regulatory bodies like the SEC have a keen interest in things that look, walk, and quack like a security. And a digital asset whose value is promoted by a central team to a wide audience of investors? Well, that's starting to sound an awful lot like a duck. The first major hurdle is the definition of Pi itself. Is it a currency, a commodity like gold, or a security like a stock? This determines which set of laws and which three-letter agency gets to make your life difficult. Then there's the issue of market manipulation. If a community is actively coordinating to fix a price at an artificially high level, regulators might see that as a form of manipulation. How do you solve a problem like GCV? It requires a kind of legal jujitsu. The first move is to relentlessly focus on decentralization. The more the Pi network can prove it is run by its community, not by a central company, the harder it is to classify it as a traditional security. A key part of this strategy is emphasizing utility over speculation. This means building and promoting a vibrant ecosystem of apps and services. If you can demonstrate that Pi has genuine use case as a medium of exchange, it starts to look more like a currency and less like a speculative investment. Another crucial tactic is establishing a clear legal framework. This could involve creating a foundation, a nonprofit entity in a crypto-friendly jurisdiction. This creates a legal shield and reinforces the narrative of decentralization. Finally, there's proactive compliance. The Pi network is already doing this with its mandatory KYC process. It shows regulators a good faith effort to prevent illicit activities and builds credibility. In the court of decentralized value, the ultimate judge and jury is the community itself. Proving this consensus is perhaps the most critical task facing the Pi community. You need data, lots and lots of data. This involves creating systems where pioneers can formally and publicly pledge their commitment to the GCV. This could take the form of on-chain attestations, signed digital statements, or participation in marketplaces that exclusively use GCV for pricing. Enter initiatives like GCV Confirm. This isn't an official directive from the Pi core team, but a grassroots movement from within the community itself. The goal is simple: to create a clear, verifiable, and public record of every pioneer who supports the GCV valuation. Imagine a counter ticking up in real time. 4,567,890 pioneers have confirmed GCV. That's a headline that's hard to ignore. The path forward is long, and it needs to be paved with concrete actions. The first step is to continue building the internal ecosystem. Every marketplace that prices goods in GCV, every game that uses Pi for purchases, and every service that accepts Pi as payment strengthens the foundation of its value. The next critical step is education and unified messaging. A concerted effort is needed to educate all pioneers about what GCV means, why consensus is critical, and what the legal challenges are. When millions of people are all saying the same thing, the message becomes exponentially more powerful. Finally, the community must prepare for the inevitable day the network opens up to the wider world. Pioneers need to understand market psychology and the immense pressure that will be exerted by external traders who do not share the GCV belief. The strength of the community's consensus will be measured by how many people hold the line, refusing to sell for anything less than the GCV. It's a high-stakes game of chicken, played on a global scale. So, where does this leave us? The Pi network stands at a fascinating crossroads. On one hand, it can be seen as a work of genius, a brilliant fusion that has successfully mobilized a global community of millions around a shared digital goal. On the other hand, it's impossible to ignore the towering skepticism. The GCV seems to be a number pulled from a nerdy hat, a price born of hope and memes rather than market fundamentals. The path to recognition is fraught with immense legal, technical, and psychological hurdles. Ultimately, the story of the Pi network and its quest for GCV is a story about the power of belief. It's a test of whether a community, united by a digital dream, can collectively will a new reality into existence. They have the vision, they have the community, and they have the magic number. Now, they just have to convince the rest of the world. And that, as they are quickly learning, is the hardest part.